Okay, hi everyone. Welcome to this week's pre-market live analysis. Let me know in the chat if you guys can hear me and see me clearly. Okay, that's great. So I'm Melanie and I will be taking you guys for this week's pre-market live analysis. But no worries, Desmond will be back next week. Yeah, feel free to let me know in the chat if there are any requests or any questions that you guys might have, and I will be sure to go through them. Okay, let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so as per usual, a disclaimer before we get started. IC Markets Global is the trading name of Raw Trading Limited, which is regulated by Seychelles Financial Services Authority with the Securities Dealers License Number SD018. So IC Markets Global does not represent that the material provided here is accurate, current, or complete, and therefore shouldn't be relied upon as such. The information provided here, whether from a third party or not, is not considered to be a recommendation, an offer to buy or sell, or the solicitation of an offer to buy or sell any security, financial product, or instrument, or to participate in any particular trading strategy. So, as per usual, risk warning, trading Forex and CFDs carries a high level of risk to your capital, and you should only trade with money you can afford to lose. Trading Forex and CFDs may not be suitable for all investors, so please ensure that you fully understand the risks involved and seek independent advice if necessary. Please read and ensure you fully understand our risk exposure. Okay, so here is our agenda for today. We'll do a couple of analysis on the major currencies, followed by some commodities as well as indices. And then I can see a couple of requests coming through, so we'll definitely go through those as well towards the end. Okay? Yep, so as I said, I'm Melanie and I'm an investment analyst from Everest Fortune Group. Yeah, so let's just go ahead and get right into it. Okay, let me just pull out my charts really quickly. Okay, if you can hear the beeping sound, I'm not entirely sure what that is. So just bear with me. Okay, um, can you guys see my charts? Hmm. Okay, yeah, you should be able to see my charts now. Just quickly, just let me know in the chat if you guys can see my charts. Yeah? Okay, that's great. Okay, great. Let's go ahead and get started. So, we have a couple of requests for the pound dollar. So let's go ahead and get started on that first. Okay. Okay. So I'd like to take a look at the higher times frames first so that we get an idea of where prices are headed. So if we're looking at the weekly time frame, we can see it's pretty bullish. Looks like prices are headed upwards. But if we look at our daily time frame, it is a little bit on an uptrend, but currently it's kind of ranging on our daily time frame. So if we add our support and resistance levels, this would be my second resistance. First resistance over here. Okay, and our first support would be over here. Okay, now that we have our support and resistance levels, then we'll go in with our Fibonacci levels. So I'm going to firstly look for a retracement. So for retracements, we look at 5 levels. Okay, 23.6, 50%, 38.2, 61.8, and 78.6. So, okay, you can see over here that even though this 23.6 lines up nicely with our first resistance, right? But it's actually not valid because price has already cut through this level, as you can see here. It's already retraced and it's cut through this level. So it's no longer valid. Okay, so none of these levels. Now let's see. Okay, we have this level here as well. Um, okay, on our okay, so this three-pointed Fibonacci projection, that's what we call it. Okay, so you're looking for this kind of shape, this like flash kind of shape. Okay. And I can see that my 50% Fibonacci retracement lines up with the 61.8. So I'm just going to place a level here as well, just for my own reference. Okay, and there's also like a pullback resistance level here as well. So I'm just going to highlight this. Mm, okay, okay, so we have this second resistance here at this swing high, and it looks like price is headed towards our first support. So that's our first analysis. Okay, this Fibonacci part was just like for my own reference so that I can find like confluence areas that tend to attract price. But as of right now, we're seeing price drop from our second resistance towards our first resistance, and we're probably going in for a sell over here. Okay, yeah, that's all for our pound. Let me just take a look and see what else we can, yeah, pound. Okay, dollar cat. Let's go ahead and do that as well. Okay, so if we're looking at our dollar cat on the daily time frame, first thing we can see is an uptrend for sure. Okay, if we're looking at a weekly time frame, there's a very obvious uptrend as well. So on our daily time frame, you can see. Actually, I think we might be able to get a uptrend here. Okay, okay, so we have an ascending trend channel here as well. So just to recap, what makes a valid trend channel is if there are two touches on at the bottom and at least two touches at the top. But you see in this case, we have a nice three touches at the top as well. Okay, so now that we have our trend channel, let's go in with our support and resistance levels. Okay. So my first support will just go over here, the closest swing low to where price is currently at. Here's my first resistance. Okay, and then my second support would be over here. Okay, so you want to try and pull it back as far as you can without cutting too many bodies of candlesticks. So you can see here is my next closest swing low to where price is currently at, and I can pull it back to the swing high here. Okay, and actually even to here. Okay, and okay, now that I've done that, I'm gonna go in with my Fibonacci levels now. Okay, and for Fibonacci projection, which is what I'm using over here, we use these three levels, 61.8, 78.6, and 100%. And I can see my 78.6 lines up nicely. Um, okay, but my 100% lines up with this level as well. So I'm actually going to change this to my first resistance instead. And then this is my upside confirmation. Okay, so what this basically means is that price is currently at the 61.8 level. Okay, actually it's kind of broken out of it already, so I'm gonna remove that. Okay, but we can see that price is currently headed towards this upside confirmation level. Okay, so once we see price break out of this level, then we have upside confirmation that price is likely to continue to go upwards and break towards our first resistance. Okay, so we're definitely going in for a buy over here. Okay. Okay, I hope my sound is better now. Okay. Okay, Bitcoin. Yep, let's definitely go through Bitcoin now. And then I see some requests for gold as well, so we'll definitely go through that as well. Okay. Okay, so let's Okay, we see that there is an uptrend here. So, but there's definitely no, let me see. Okay, there's no trend lines or channels. So just get right into our support and resistance levels. Okay, so here is my first resistance, and then my first support here. So it's pretty methodical. After looking for any trend lines or trend channels, then you go in with your graphical support and resistance levels, which you how you look for them is basically by looking at any significant levels that are close to where price is currently at. So you can see my first support is the closest to where price is at, followed by our second support. And then now that I have that just purely based off of like overlap and support pullback levels, then we go in with our Fibonacci levels just to kind of um look for other levels or to support these existing levels here. Okay, so now that I have that, let's zoom out and see if I can use any um, Fibonacci areas. So firstly, I think I'm gonna go in with a projection level. Okay, from here to here. Okay, so same thing for projection. I'm using these three levels again. And I can see my 78.6 lines up nicely. Okay, next I'm gonna go in with a retracement. So for retracement, we use these five levels. Okay, I'm gonna place my second resistance over here. Okay, because I can see that my 100% Fibonacci projection lines up with my 50% Fibonacci retracement. Okay, so for these, they tend to be areas rather than specific levels. Okay, it's getting a little bit messy now, so let me just remove the levels we're not using. Okay, and then for our projection, okay, so I have a retracement here as well. Okay, my 78.6 also lines up nicely with this whole area. Okay, so you want to make sure that you include the wicks as well when you are looking at your Fibonacci levels. Okay. Okay. Mm, okay, I think that's all the levels that we have for now. So we see here that, so I mentioned earlier that this is a definitely an uptrend. Okay, so we were going for a buy from our first resistance towards our second resistance, and I'm placing our second resistance below this entire confluence area here. Oh, actually, it should be red because it's a resistance. Okay, and actually, now that I'm looking at it, our 100% is a little bit far, so I'm gonna get rid of that. Okay. Okay, so this is our confluence area here at our second resistance. I have my 78.6 retracement, which goes from this swing high to this swing low, and another retracement from this swing high to this swing low. Okay, so it's really important to follow the shape of your chart. And then a 78.6 projection is from these 3 points here. You can see from the white dots, and that's in line with our first resistance. Okay, so just to maybe point out that our second resistance, which is in this case my take profit, right? Because I'm going in for a buy from my first resistance to my second resistance here. So we tend a general recommendation is to place your take profit below any confluence areas like this one here, so that because price is more likely to reverse off of confluence areas, and you might not be able to catch price before it reverses back down to your entry or maybe even your stop loss. So that's why we typically recommend you to place it before any major confluence areas. Okay, but let's just continue looking. Okay, next let's take a look at dollar yen. Okay, so on our weekly time frame, we see prices kind of in an uptrend. Okay, let's take a look at our daily time frame. Okay, let's see. Okay, I don't think we have any trend lines or trend channels. So again, let's go in with our support and resistance levels now. So I'm just gonna place our first level here. And because price is really close to this level currently, like it's already approaching it, so I'm just going to label this as an intermediate level with the dotted lines. Okay, and then my first support would be, okay, I'm just going to place it here first, and then I will adjust again later when we add our Fibonacci levels. Then I have an overlap level here. So basically, if you're not aware, a overlap support in this case, it basically means that it's an area where bulls and bears are respecting that level. So we have a swing high and a swing low. That's basically just what it means. And it's an important level because it means that price has respected that area in the past. Okay, so now I'm going to go in with a retracement level. Okay, and I can see my 23.6 lines up with my first support, and actually my 50% also lines up with my second support. Um, and then going in with a projection, my 78.6 lines up nicely, as you can see here. Um, okay, 70.6, 61.8, and 100. So you can see my 78.6 lines up nicely with my first support, but once again, it's no longer valid because price has already broken this area. So I'm just going to keep my 100%. Okay, and at that 100%, let's see if I can pull it back. Okay, not really. So here I'm just going to label this as my first resistance. Okay. Okay, I think that's all the levels that we have for dollar yen. Next, we're going to look at euro kiwi. Also, if I'm looking up a lot, it's because my screen is above my camera. So yeah, don't mind me there. Okay, yeah, so on our weekly time frame, it's pretty bullish as well. Let's look at our daily time frame. Okay, so on our daily time frame, let's go in with our um support and resistance levels first. And then this swing high here would be my second resistance. Okay, we actually have a trend line here as well. I missed that out earlier. Okay, maybe just to recap really quickly, what makes a valid trend line is if there are a minimum of 3 touches on the line. Okay, and this is how you should be drawing your line. If it's an ascending trend line, not like, oop, not above. Okay. Okay. Oop. Okay. Now let's go in with our Fibonacci levels again. Okay, I'm going in with a projection and I can see my 78.6 lines up. And actually so does my 61.8. Okay. And yeah, and I can keep my 61.8 because I can see price is testing that level, so it hasn't broken it yet. Yeah, I think that's about all the levels for Euro Kiwi. We'll probably be going in for a buy because of the bullish we have an ascending trend line here and price has recently bounced off of this first support as well. Okay, towards our first resistance, and once price breaks out of our first resistance, that's once again upside confirmation that we can go in for buy towards our second resistance. Okay, next let's look at dollar franc. Okay. Okay, so if we're looking at our weekly time frame, um, in recent days it is pretty bullish. Okay, Let's look at our daily time frame. Okay, no trend lines or trend channels here. So once again, we're going with our support levels, support resistance levels. Here's my second resistance. First resistance over here, and I can pull it back. Okay. Oh, I can pull it back even further. Okay. For our support, okay, I have this double swing low support here, and then okay, I think that's it. Okay, now we're gonna go in for some Fibonacci retracement levels. I can see my 50% lines up nicely with my first support. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep that. Okay, so I can see over here that I have this um support Fibonacci it's kind of a confluence because even though I only have one Fibonacci level, this first support is a pretty significant level, okay, because we have some swing lows here, and price has pulled back twice and tested this level again. So we'll probably see it, I mean, we're currently seeing it bounce off, and we're definitely going for a buy towards our first resistance. And once it breaks out of our first resistance, then once again, you can continue to going for a buy towards our second resistance. Okay. Okay, maybe we'll take a look at euro dollar now. Okay, so on our daily time frame, um, okay, we don't see any support or any trend lines or trend channels. So once again, we'll go in with our support and resistance levels. Okay, so here is, I'm going to place my second resistance here. And then my first resistance here. Okay, and actually I can pull it back to about here. Okay, and then for first support, I'm just going to place it here at this swing low. Okay, now let's go in with our Fibonacci levels. Okay. So once again, we see price heading towards our first support. But our first support um is a pullback level. Okay, we have this swing low, and we see price has pulled or retraced back from this level and is currently approaching it once again. So we can expect price to bounce off of this level and hit towards our first resistance after that. Even after that, actually, we can probably expect it to continue to our second resistance. Okay, only after it has broken our first resistance here. Okay, now let's take a look at WTI. Okay, okay, it does look a little bit bearish here. Um, even though there are no trend lines or trend channels. So here's my first support. Okay, here is my first resistance, and then here is my second resistance. Okay, so I'm gonna go in for a retracement here, and I can see my 23.6 lines up with my first resistance. So I'm just going to keep that. Okay, so we have this confluence area here. Okay, so we can expect price to continue to drop towards our first support here. Okay, I've already gone through gold, but if you missed that, maybe we can take a look take a look as well. Okay, my analysis didn't save. Yep, no worries. Okay, but basically, let's go in with our support and resistance levels. Okay, first support here. I think my first resistance will be here at this two swing highs. And then I'm gonna place a level here as well. And this, I'm gonna call this my downside confirmation. Okay, no, I'm gonna call this a intermediate resistance level, and then my downside confirmation would be here instead. Oh, okay, here instead, where price is currently at or approaching. Okay, so here's my downside confirmation. This is my intermediate resistance level. Okay, and then I just have uh, a retracement here. So once again, I'm looking at these 5 levels, and I can see that my 38.2 as well as my 61.8 line up with my levels. Okay, so we can expect price to continue to drop once it breaks out of this downside confirmation level. Okay, that's why I am labeling it that. Okay. Um, any other requests from you guys? Or any questions you guys might have? Feel free to let me know. Okay, maybe let's look at some indices as well. Um, let's look at the US 500. Okay. Okay, so to start off, we have a descending trend line here. Okay, and then let's go in with our support and resistance levels again. So here is my first resistance here, and then first support, and I'm just going to place my second resistance at the swing high. Okay, and then okay, so for my Fibonacci retracement, only my 61.8 level here is valid, as you can see. Okay, because the 38.2 has already been broken. Let's check 70.6. No. Okay. Okay, so my 61.8 lines up with my first resistance, and I'm expecting price to um reverse off of my first resistance and hit back down to my first support. Okay, in line with this descending trend line. Okay. Okay, next let's look at Euro JPY. Okay. Okay, definitely on an uptrend here. Okay, and if I'm just gonna label our support levels first. Okay, here's my first support and second support just here maybe. Okay, now I'm going in with my Fibonacci levels to see if we can get any resi resistance levels from there. Okay, so what I'm doing now is looking for a Fibonacci extension. Okay, so for Fibonacci extension, it's basically what we call our Nike tick. So you can see that, oh, you can see that we have this tick kind of shape. Okay, and then for this Fibonacci technique, we're looking at 127 as well as the 168. So we can see here, let me zoom in, that price has already recently broken the 127.2. Okay, so we are expecting it to continue towards our 161.8 here. So I'm gonna label this as my first resistance. Okay. Just gonna get rid of everything so that it's clearer for you guys to see. Okay, so Nike tick here. This is the kind of shape that we're looking for. Once price surpasses 100% of this first part of the tick or the head of the tick, then we can go in with this Fibonacci extension where we're using the 127.2 as well as 161.8. Okay. Okay. Okay, let's take a look at pound yen. Okay, so on our daily time frame, here is my first resistance, and then my first support is maybe over here. Then my second support is just over here at this swing low level. Okay, so I can see price has already broken out of this first support and it's currently heading towards our first resistance here. This first support, you can see that price has tested this level a couple of times. Okay, we have a couple of swing highs and swing lows, making it an overlap level. So that's why we can see that price is gonna push it. Price has bounced off of it and is pushing up towards our first resistance here. Okay, I think we have time for maybe one more chart. Okay, DJ30. Let's go ahead and look at that. Okay, so right off the bat, we see this descending trend line. Okay, and then here's my first resistance level. Okay, and I can pull it back to this swing low so that it's now an overlap level. And then my second resistance here, first support over here. And then my second support, maybe, okay, maybe we don't need one yet. So I'm gonna go in with a Fibonacci retracement. Okay, I can see my 61.8 lines up with my first resistance. Okay, so I'm just gonna keep that. Next, I think we have another retracement here. Okay, okay, my 38.2 lines up with my first support. Okay, so we have this area here in line with my overlap resistance. Okay, and that's coincides with our trend line here as well. So I can expect to go in for a sell here towards our first support. Okay, especially since our first support is also a pullback level. As you can see, we have two swing lows, and price has tested this level a couple of times, and it's also in line with this 38.2 Fibonacci retracement. So yeah, we're going for a sell towards that level. Okay, I think that's all the time that we have for today. Let me know if you guys have any questions before we go. But if not, you guys can leave. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I hope you guys found it helpful. Have a great rest of your week, and I will see you guys whenever I have to replace Desmond. Okay, thanks guys. Thank you. Have a great week, guys. No worries. Okay, thanks everyone.